There is massive recency bias in the dynasty running back market, and trading back into this massive tier is exactly how you squeeze out the production you need to win a chip in 2026.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying Christian McCaffrey, not A tier, not B tier, a C tier running back. Christian McCaffrey's in the same tier as Javonte Williams. All right, welcome back to the desk.
Welcome back, baby.
Today we are doing some running back tiers just to kind of piggyback off of the wide receiver tier video. It's that time of year. I think the S tier is pretty self-explanatory in my mind.
Yeah, if we get comments here, I'm going to be surprised. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, nobody else.
No.
These guys that are just at the very, very top of the class. We expect multiple years of running back one and probably top 5 overall production from these guys. So,
yeah.
Any arguments there? Can we just go ahead onto the A tier?
Nope. Proven assets. Nothing more to say.
This is where we could get some question marks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The A tier here are still guys that I fully expect to be running back ones, like top 12 at the position for multiple years. And that is going to be Genty, Love, HAN, and Amari Hampton. And I think if we get pushback from anybody here, it's going to be Devon HAN.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the Miami situation is what it's looking like this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, but the key word is multiple years production. I think HAN can even dip a little bit this year because of the situation. Miami's not going to suck for 3 years.
Forever.
Yeah. And he's still young enough. I'm fine with this list. I think all those guys are proven to be studs, but not proven to be dominant. Yeah. Or I guess Love's a rookie, but still, he has all the characteristics to be fantastic.
I wouldn't be surprised if HAN this year scored the most out of that entire group of 4.
Agreed.
Even with the terrible situation. That's why he's there.
Actually, I think Hampton's situation puts him in the best position to be the top one out of that pack.
Sure. I would agree with that.
But if it is HAN, that's just because they're literally peppering the dude with targets and he's just a friggin' volume.
It's not unheard of. Derrick Henry in Tennessee, Christian McCaffrey at Carolina, or like a great running back in a bad situation.
Easier for running back to do it because you're not relying on Malik Willis to throw you the ball.
Yeah, true.
But congratulations to Malik. Yeah. Anywho, I think the B tier is where we're gonna get in to some arguments here because
sure,
let me know what your B tier is real fast.
Yeah, sure. My B tier is no one. There is no B tier for running backs.
Well, explain that some, because I mean, you got a couple friggin' last resorters. You got McCaffrey and Saquon, who they literally still have the talent. McCaffrey won people the league last year, not even in the B tier. And then you got, I would even put like a Kyren, who's still in the prime producing stage and has been a top 12 running back or better the last 3 years.
No, I understand. I'm looking at redraft projections and I see Travis Etienne going in the exact same range, basically, as these guys. I mean, Barkley and CMC obviously a little bit higher, but he's like a round behind somebody like Kenneth Walker. I see Javonte Williams. I see Josh Jacobs. All those guys are like 3rd round picks in redraft. For me, it's just a huge value gap. I would want so much if I was going to tear down from like Ashton Genty to them that I think the B tier is basically empty. I think there will be guys during the season who are producing, like if Quinshon Judkins emerges or if CMC is having his 20-point per game season again, if Saquon Barkley's having his 20-point per game season again, that will jump up to being in this value range. But
I see. Okay, so it's less from a production standpoint, and it's more from just a pure like what you would have to receive in order to make a trade work, and nobody would be willing to do that deal. It's kind of
basically. Yeah, for me, the RB7 all the way down to like the RB20 or RB21 is all in the same tier, and you'll see it on the screen for me.
All right, well, let's segue into that then.
I can list them out. How about this? I'll list my big tier out, and then you tell me if there's anybody that you think belongs distinctly above everybody else in the B tier.
Okay.
So I've got Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, Jadarian Price, Trevion Henderson, Quinshad Judkins, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Cam Scadaboo, Kyron, Bucky, Javonte, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs. So down to running back 22. I have all in the same tier.
I mean, I think I can make a fair argument for McCaffrey based off of, you have to assume that based off the assumption that he's not just going to fall off a cliff this year, which I get.
Okay.
He's older. He could get hurt. He could have one of the McCaffrey hurt years and he's done. But if you had him on your roster today and he produced let's not even say 20 points a game. Let's say 16, 17 points a game. You're telling me at the trade deadline, you couldn't flip that son of a gun to somebody who's going for it and they wouldn't pay you for that pick or for Christian McCaffrey? Like, and the way I'm thinking about it is, who are the guys who have a good chance of emerging, a good chance, not just it's their breakout year, but the guys who have been producing, who you could flip for better than what you would pay for him today. And in my mind, that's Cook, that's McCaffrey, that's Kyron. And Philly's offense looks a little dicey going into this year, but theoretically, that's also a Saquon.
Yep.
And I would even maybe throw in Bucky into that range. I mean, the Bucky had a down year last year when the Bucs offense was probably about as low as it's going to get. And I'd see him kind of in that category as well.
So you got them distinctly ahead of guys like Chase Brown and Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker III.
I would say definitely Kenny 3-6. I mean, he was as good as he's going to be last year, in my opinion.
Yep.
Brown's kind of a toss-up. And then Taylor, hey, don't get me wrong. Jonathan Taylor, heater last year. Jonathan Taylor's MO has been one heater out of every 3 seasons.
Yep.
He hasn't strung a back-to-back together yet. So
yeah, he's been up and down with a lot of injuries and some poor offensive play.
So that's why that in my mind, that's where the distinction happens.
Yeah, I agree with your idea that it's better to prioritize running backs that are likely to produce this year. Because I do think it's the kind of position that like one guy can get drafted, suddenly like the guy that you thought was the guy isn't him anymore.
Yeah.
Like Isaiah Pacheco was the starter for the Chiefs and then just now he's completely vanished, right?
Yeah.
If I'm leaning towards people, I'm leaning towards the guys that I feel strongly will produce this year within the tier. But I still think from a value perspective, there's just not that much daylight, for me anyway, between Jadarian Price, Chase Brown versus CMC and Barkley and Cook and all those guys. So interesting. I'll put both of our tiers side by side on the screen so we can see what both look like. Just to touch on the last tier that we're going to discuss here, the D tier. I'm not going to run through every conceivable running back, but for me, this tier is the guys who have an opportunity, but it's maybe not as clear. Like for me, the C tier guys are the clear running back one in their own offense, unless they mess it up. And then the D tier is like they have an outside shot of being a running back one, but it's murky whether they'll even be the main back in their own offense. So if they claim that, it's a big win. But if they don't, then like you may not even really want to flex them.
So you're talking about like some of these handcuff guys, kind of like a Rashad White, Krosky Merritt situation with the Commanders?
Yes, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about Bashal Tutin, Chris Rodriguez in Jacksonville, Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren in Pittsburgh. I would put Derrick Henry here just because of how old he is.
At some point, the dude's got to stop, right? I mean, good Lord. Now, what would you do with like a David Montgomery?
I feel like he's in the same situation. I feel like he's going to split time with Woody Marks. He's probably starting as the lead back, but between how bad that offense might be
Yeah.
and how much he may not be the guy, I've still got him in this tier. I've got both like Jonah Coleman and RJ Harvey in this tier for Denver. I would have both like Chuba Hubbard and the injured guy, Jonathan Brooks, here for Carolina. That's where I've got this sort of jumbled mix of guys.
Like you said, when there's a situation when there's not a clear running back one.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I don't really want to go all the way down and just list off, backups as the next tier, but there's handcuffs, there's rookies that could emerge.
Yeah, but a handcuff's a different story to me. Like, I didn't work out for me, but I took an Algier last year
to back up
Bijan, and that's a separate. I feel
Yeah.
that's a separate pick when you have a guy who's stud enough to worth handcuff. Yeah. But it seems like what you're saying overall is that C tier, when you're thinking about your draft, is where you can pick up most value in the running back space because there's just not going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get like a 7th round Josh Jacobs, provided he plays, a 7th round Travis Etienne, a 6th round Bucky Irving, I think those guys are gold in terms of product, because I think they have basically the same production upside as like the 3rd round picks where you're getting Jonathan Taylor and James Cook, or early 4th where you're getting Kenneth Walker. So yeah, I love stockpiling some 6th and early 7th round picks for my running backs this year.
All right. Well, this was a spicy one. So I'd love to hear what the comments have to say about that.
Yeah, we'll be getting some trade offers in our leagues, I would imagine. Somebody's going to be willing to exploit this.
Exactly. Hey guys, all right, everybody. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you don't mind, like and subscribe below.
And if you want a free roster review, check out the Google form in the description. Your team could be featured in one of our videos. See you in the next one.